Fall's here. Actually, it's getting on to be winter. I got snow outside the shop right now. It's time to get into your shop if you haven't been in there through the summer and start working on some of those projects the missus has been nagging you about. So what's on your honey-do list? How about fixing up the house? Believe it or not, 85% of woodworkers will build kitchen cabinets at some point in their lives. And the other 75% will build cabinets for another room in the house. I know that doesn't add up. Don't get caught up in the details. Here at Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, we've been in the planning stages of a massive cabinetry project for quite a while now. We're planning a laundry room and a pantry area and a large kitchen, all full of floor-to-ceiling cabinets. And we're making mitered cabinet doors for them, which are sort of like picture frames in that they're made from wide moldings that are mitered at the corners. There are more than 50 of these cabinet doors in the project, plus all the matching drawer fronts, plus all the crown moldings and the baseboard moldings. That is a lot of moldings. Do you have any idea what it would cost to buy all that molding stock? You can't just walk into Home Depot and buy cabinet door moldings. You have to get a custom molding service and have them make them for you on their big molding machines. I forget what the price per board foot they quoted me, but it was just insane. And so quite a while ago, it got me thinking, why don't I just get a molding machine of my own and cut out the middleman? Now, before you say that's crazy, think about this for a second. There are a lot of woodworkers out there who own homes that need a lot of trim and cabinetry work. In fact, a ton of woodworkers I know do home improvement projects that require a lot of moldings. Even off-the-shelf solid wood moldings at the home center cost quite a bit. Most of them sell them by the linear foot, and it really adds up fast. And what if you have to match existing moldings in an old house? Sit down and do the math, and then consider that you could buy a used molding machine for like a few $100s, then do the job and sell it and get most of your money, if not all of it, back afterwards. Or what's most likely to happen is you'll do all that nice work for the missus, and she'll let you keep the molding machine as a reward, and you're going to find all sorts of excuses to use it in the future. You could even put an ad on Craigslist and rent the thing out when you're not using it. Anyway, I'm not here to sell you a molding machine. I'm just telling you why it made a lot of sense to get one here in our main workshop with this massive project that we've got coming up. And I thought you'd like a look at what we're working on right now. I wanted a custom profile for my door molding. This is where the machine really starts to pay off because I got a cutter guy. Yes, I have a guy for everything. Stefan at mywoodcutters.com is my cutter guy. He can get me molding knives for almost any profile I can think of. If I can draw it, he can get a knife for it. Do you have any idea what it would cost to get a custom router bit made, which is what I looked at first? I know, because I have a router bit guy. Let's just say that it is a massive investment because you can't just buy one router bit. You have to pay to get a bunch of them made. Molding machine cutters are way easier to manufacture than router bits, so you can have just a single set made. You design any profile you want, send it to my cutter guy, or select one of the bazillion profiles they already have on their website, and they'll ship you a set perfectly ground and sharpened for whatever machine you own. I had no idea this was even a possibility when I first started planning this project. It really changed the way that I looked at the whole thing. So, I got a set of knives with the profile I wanted for my mitered cabinet doors. Now I needed the wood. This is another benefit of making your own moldings with your own machine. I don't have to use that crappy finger-jointed pine that they make the off-the-shelf moldings from. I can use hardwood. I can use any species I want. I just shop around at any of the small mills or hardwood dealers in the area. I'll even drive a little bit, find the best price that I can get on whatever species I want. I actually ended up driving about an hour and a half. I waited for a woodworking show that I knew was going to have lumber specials, picked up a bunch of beautiful hard maple for like a couple bucks a board foot. This was already surfaced and kiln dried stuff. What a deal. The deals are out there. You just have to look for them. The better price you get on your wood, the faster that machine is going to pay for itself. The thing with hardwood, and softwood for that matter, is it comes in different grades. You don't want standard quality stock for moldings. You want clear, knot-free boards with grain as straight as possible. That doesn't mean every board has to be perfectly blemish-free. With the cabinet doors, I'm going to be working with short pieces, so I can cut around some of those little knots or blemishes if I find them. I'll just save the clearest, straightest stock for the long crown moldings and the baseboards. After I rip my stock to width, I'm ready to start setting up the cut on the machine. I want to physically position my stock against one of the knives, centering it so the cut will fall in the right place. Then I lock down a fence on either side of the board. Now I can lower the head, looking at the end of the board until the cutter looks like it will take a full bite. That's where I set my depth stop. Now I can raise my cutter back up a little bit because while it may be possible to cut the profile in one pass, it's better to take lighter passes for a cleaner cut. Before we start feeding in stock, let me talk a little more about grain direction. Molding machine knives work the same way as router bits, just on a larger scale. When a cutter contacts the wood, it takes a little bit of a scoop out. If the grain is running toward the cutter, it's far more likely to tear the fibers out, which is going to produce a rough cut that requires a lot of sanding. In a few minutes, I'll show you a fast way to sand your moldings, but you definitely want to avoid feeding the stock against the grain. Don't just stick a board in the machine with the best looking face up. Pay attention to grain direction and change the orientation of the workpiece so the grain is running down toward the table or back toward you as you feed the stock in. The machine works just like a planer. In fact, it'll even plane stock flat with a set of straight knives, so that's sort of a bonus if you don't already have a dedicated planer in your shop already. The feed rollers pull the stock in, and you can adjust their speed to suit the material. A slower feed will cause the knives to take more cuts per inch, which can produce a smoother surface, but it may also lead to scorching on some woods. So you have to kind of find that sweet spot. Once I feed all my moldings through, I loosen the depth stop and I lower the cutter just a tiny bit more to take the finest skim cut. Then I feed all my pieces through again. That'll clean up any imperfections and reduce any sanding that I might have to do later. Speaking of sanding, there's another reason I like my cutter guy. He offers custom sanding blocks that are an exact mirror image of the knife profiles. It's the coolest thing you ever saw. Whatever profile you cut, you can get a custom block to really speed up any sanding that you might have to do. It's definitely worth getting one of these if you have your knives made. On a side note, if you don't have a molding machine but you like the idea of the sanding blocks, they also make them for 9 of the most common moldings that you can buy off the rack at Lowe's. So if you use those a lot, you should definitely get your hands on some of these sanding blocks. In fact, in the box they also have painting blocks. Those are really handy for putting your finish on. I'll put a link to more information on these in the notes below this video. You should definitely check them out. To finish my cabinet doors, I had to miter the corners on all the pieces. Then I had to cut grooves in all the pieces. Then I had to cut a rabbet around my center panel. And then I had to assemble it all. Once it's glued up, I might add some splines later, and I'm definitely going to put a finish on it. These are going to be painted, but that's the subject for a whole other video. For now, I just wanted to share some of the possibilities that come with the ability to get any shape or profile you want turned into a custom set of cutters. If you take just a minute and go to the mywoodcutters.com website and look at the selection they already have in stock, you'll see what I mean. The possibilities go way beyond making just regular moldings. You can make dowels, drawer joints, glue joints, lock miters, picture frames, raised panels, wainscoting, cabinet doors, and really you're only limited by your imagination. I really don't care what molding machine you get, whether it's new or used, whether it's a Shop Fox or something else. They're not a sponsor. I don't really care. I just wanted you guys to know why you're going to be seeing us using this machine in several future videos through the winter and spring months as we work on this big project. You can follow our progress by subscribing to Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal, which is free over at stumpynubs.com. It's always full of great tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker. We'll see you next time.